Hello, I'm Matteo, and welcome to the premiere episode of Metz and Matteo Presents Inspiration Friday. Each month I will pick a topic that will be covered in 15-minute episodes aired each Friday. We'll be covering a wide range of themes and ideas of what I find inspiring, how I find inspiration, or something that I was inspired to create. All this with the goal to not just entertain, but also to inspire more creativity and transform how we view and interact with the world around us. The topic for this month, July, is happenstance. The inspiration for this month's topic is this photograph. I took this, I believe, in 2015 on a trip back from Chicago. I took the train in, and on the way back they were doing construction on the train tracks, so we had to stop at a station, get off, get on a bus, be transported to another train station further down the line, and get back on to another train in order to reach our final destination. Of course, this interruption, which is not planned for, it was an opportunity for me to walk around in a small town that I'd never been into, because we always rode through it on the train in the times that I would travel to Chicago. And when I got off the train, there was a little bit of time before we all had to board the bus and leave, and I saw this tree with the sun shining through it, a crusty, old, dilapidated outbuilding of some kind in the background, and this railing with this small staircase, and decided to snap a photo. Unfortunately, I didn't write down the details, which I normally do, so I'm not exactly sure where this is or what time of day it is, but I was moved to capture this image, and later on I came home and developed it. And after the development process, found out that there was a defect that happened somewhere along the line. I'm not sure if it was in the manufacturing process, which is my guess, or if it was something wrong with the chemistry. But if you look in the sky area, you can see this sort of mottled pattern that was fogged on the emulsion. All of the frames in the negative have this mottling. It is more noticeable in the highlights, but is also shows up all the way in the image, including the dark shadow areas. This modeling made it more difficult to print, as it reduced overall contrast, but because of that, I think it dimmed down the sunlight, not making it too extreme, and gave this aura and atmosphere to the image that would be absent without it. And in so, I believe it enhanced it tremendously. This is a working print, not a final print. I would probably make something in 11 by 14 or larger range. But I think it was incredibly successful. It was an older negative I pulled out last year while I was in the darkroom, and was sort of moved. First, I was distracted by this modeling that I had forgotten that was there. After I developed the film originally 5 years ago or something, I sort of just put them in their sleeves and put them in a binder and forgotten about them because they didn't come out the way that I expected them to be. That they were not unprintable, but they would be difficult to print, and I just didn't see any worth in it. But with fresh eyes, years later, I came across the negatives and saw this image and thought, why didn't I print this before? Because those expectations of what it should like have now dissipated and were replaced with fresh eyes that were just looking for something new and different within the negative archive that I have. And so I printed it, and on actually several different kinds of paper, but finally settled on this paper, which is one of my favorites. It is a matte gelatin silver paper made by David W. Lewis, who's actually a bromoilist, and I bought his paper for bromoil printing, but found it to be exquisite for printing just normal prints with. That's kind of a side bar there. But I printed it and realized that this image had its own place and sort of had a right to be made, even though it didn't comport to my original ideas of what it should look like. And while looking through my negatives and old prints yet again, reorganizing them in this time that we have off from work, and I came across it yet again and thought, why haven't I done something with this? And I thought, why not start an inspiration video series and talk about things that I make and things that inspire me to make. And so here we are discussing this image that could easily have just been filed away or even thrown away and never been printed and sort of seen the light of day. There's actually another print that I had within that same binder. It was even several years earlier. I think it's from 2012, created with a different camera and actually a different film from a different company. That has a similar effect to it. I will show you this as a still slide as well, so you can get a better look at it. But here it is. And if you look in the sky, you'll see that's not going to stay there. That there's a modeled pattern in there as well. If you look closely, there's actually an upside down inverted number 12. So that to me tells me that it was a mistake in the manufacturing process. The film got fogged, and it only affected about 2 or 3 frames of the film and not the rest of it. So whatever happened didn't happen to the entire roll. But again, something that wasn't expected, something that wasn't planned, something that's considered a mistake, was sort of an interesting enhancement to make the image look older. A lot of the photography I do, I'm purposely using old cameras, some almost 100 years old, older emulsions. Some of the film I have isn't even being made anymore, purposely to create an older look. And this, of course, isn't done through any kind of darkroom manipulation. It looks older because I'm using older equipment and older materials. And then I do some things in the darkroom, a little overprinting to give it a more aged look. And then I choose particular papers and mat boards and framing materials to increase that effect. But overall, these happenstance instances, these mistakes, could easily be discarded, discredited, and just destroyed even. And I've chosen to keep them. And it's actually a lesson I learned many years ago with one of the first rolls of film I shot with my friend Dennis. And when we were in high school and running around in the summer taking photos in the backcountry where we live and looking for old abandoned buildings, that some of those rolls didn't come out the way expected. We had some misfiring of some flash units and some strange light effects. And I set the negatives away, put them away, set them aside, and was very disappointed. And then years later I pulled them out and thought, how interesting. So the new fresh eyes are always a good way to reevaluate either a situation or something that we've created or a situation that we're in, that can give us a different point of view that will inform us that maybe not only should this not be discarded or discredited, but that in fact it's probably more interesting than anything that we planned and created. So embrace the chaos, basically. embrace the mistakes, embrace the changes that happen, that weren't part of the plan, because I think they greatly enhance our lives, and can be more interesting than anything that we thought we could plan out. It's really easy to discourage when those things happen, but if we can maintain an awareness that these ideas are... okay, I can't do this. I'm gonna have to stop. Happenstance creeps into our lives when least expected, even with the best laid plans, just like with this video. It's easy to get discouraged when something doesn't turn out the way we envisioned how it should be. We all carry around with us preconceived, culturally instilled ideals of beauty and perfection, but if we maintain awareness of these ideals and release ourselves, even temporarily, just for a moment, from chains that bind us, and allow for the divine to penetrate through this fog, we will open ourselves up to a hidden world of creativity that otherwise would be overlooked or dismissed. Thank you for joining me, and if you liked this episode, please share with your network of family and friends, and join me next Friday for a continuation of discussion of happenstance.